This is Pavel Chekhov, ensign for Star Trek Original Series, and he's one of the stars of my brand new fan fiction stories. And take a listen. First Officer Spock's log, stardate 2322.5. The Enterprise escort team has arrived at the Starfleet penal colony moon, Jupiter 7, to pick up the former captain of the Enterprise, previously known as Captain Kirk. Kirk has finished his 3-year sentence for the manslaughter of Ensign Pavel Chekhov, and today is his official release date. We are unable to transport Kirk to the Enterprise because of a security field that covers the prison and are restricted to the use of a shuttlecraft. Kirk was led from the prison by 3 penal guards out past the main gate, where the shuttlecraft had landed. One of the guards tossed Kirk's bag on the ground with a thud, while another released his shackles. "Good riddance," a guard called out, and the 3 of them turned and left Kirk to himself. Spock was waiting outside the shuttlecraft and approached Kirk. "How are you doing?" Spock asked. "Much better," Kirk replied, faking a grin. "Thanks for picking me up. What does the Federation think of using the Enterprise as a taxi service?" "I had a difficult time convincing them to allow me," Spock replied. "But I told them I would be brief and get you back to Earth as soon as possible. I am not allowed to discuss the transfer with anyone outside of Starfleet." "You know I'm not guilty," Kirk said, shaking his head. "Chekhov was a friend." "The proof was overwhelming," Spock replied. "The charge was reduced to manslaughter for murder. And that I agree with, but you were the cause of Chekhov's death." "I had no choice. Lives were at stake," Kirk snapped. "That is not how the jury found you, and this is not the time for a debate. You served your time, and we need to get you back on your way home." "What life will I have as a disgraced starship captain?" Kirk pleaded. "I can't go back to Earth now." An unfamiliar voice replied from behind, the voice of a Klingon who was listening to the conversation but was unnoticed until now. "You don't have to go back to Earth. I can take you to Kronos, where you can start over." "Who are you?" Kirk asked. "Kolog is my name. I am a representative of the Klingon High Council and have been authorized to make you an official offer." "What kind of offer?" Kirk asked. "We would make you a captain of your own ship, like you were before you were unjustly framed for the death of your crewmen," Kolog replied. Spock asked, "In exchange for what?" Kirk has an intimate knowledge of Starfleet that would benefit the Klingon High Command. "Why would you make this offer?" "Kirk is a free man, yes. He has much knowledge, and I will not make any excuses. We would very much like to know what Kirk knows, and as far as we can tell, he is a free agent. Maybe Starfleet shouldn't have been so quick to convict him and incarcerate him unjustly." "I assure you, the conviction was justified," Spock replied. "And yes, Kirk has no allegiance to Starfleet any longer. But he did take an oath not to divulge information to the enemy," Spock said. "Enemy?" Kolog asked. "I am not his enemy. I am the only one offering him a second chance. I am anything but his enemy." "You know exactly what I mean, and I will not mince words. You are the enemy of Starfleet. Anything he divulges to you would be considered treason," Spock said. "He would be under the protection of the Klingon Empire," Kolog stated. "He would be well protected. What do you say, Kirk?" Kirk listened carefully and pondered what both Spock and Kolog said. He knew he had no life on Earth, and the idea of a new life on Kronos as a captain of his own ship was very appealing. He no longer had an allegiance to Starfleet, and as far as they were concerned, he was no one. "I accept," Kirk stated. "Very good," Kolog said with a smile. "The Klingon High Council will be very happy." Spock spoke out. "I can't allow this. As a Starfleet officer, I am compelled to ensure the security of Starfleet is maintained." "What are you going to do?" Kolog asked. "He is a free man." Spock pulled his phaser and aimed it at Kolog. "I am prepared to defend Starfleet." Kolog pressed a button on his sleeve, and 10 Klingon warriors appeared behind him, all armed and ready to kill on command. As you were saying, Vulcan? Spock pulled out his communicator and flipped open the cover. Prepare to destroy the shuttlecraft on my command, Spock said. The shuttlecraft was 20 feet from Spock and no more than 35 feet from Kolob, all within the kill zone if the craft exploded. Stop, Kirk yelled. No one is going to die today. Kolob asked, Are you rescinding your offer because of the suicidal actions of the Vulcan? He's bluffing. Vulcans never bluff, Spock stated as fact. How many crew members are you willing to murder to protect your Starfleet? You would be no better than the captain here, Kolob said. I am obligated to protect Starfleet. What the former captain did was personal, Spock replied. Frustrated, Kirk yelled, I changed my mind. Take me back to Earth. Too late, Spock replied. You've already accepted the offer. There is no going back now. Spock turned his phaser to Kirk and shot him square in the chest. Kirk fell to the ground in a heap and lay there. Now neither of us have him, Spock said. You can go. We'll take his body, Kolob said. As you said, he took our offer, so as far as we are concerned, he belongs to us. Scotty, Sulu, and McCoy monitored the interactions between Spock and the unknown Klingon on the planet's surface, and transported by shuttlecraft down to the surface when they saw Kirk shot and hit the ground. What in the blazes is going on? McCoy yelled after leaving the shuttlecraft. He ran over to Kirk and scanned his body with his diagnostic tool. He's still alive. We need to get him to sickbay. We also have a sickbay, Kolob said. Transport Kirk, Kolob said into his communicator and waited for Kirk to disappear. How are you able to transport through the security blocks? Scotty asked. We can't. We had to use a shuttlecraft. Yes, you can, Kolob replied. You're just too stupid to figure out how. Pissed, Scotty stepped forward like he was going to get into a bar fight with the Klingon. Instead, he rushed to Kirk and strapped on a transport defender, which would interfere with any attempt to zap Kirk into the Klingon ship. Stupid, you say, Scotty said with a grin. Try to transport him now. Kolob received a message on his comlink that the transport was interrupted and unable to be completed. There's nothing better than a Mexican standoff, McCoy said. We need to get Kirk to a sickbay now. He'll be fine, Kolob said. Give him time. McCoy turned to Spock. What was your phaser set to? Stun, Spock replied. I thought you wanted to kill him, Kolob said. Did you have a change of heart? I didn't feel his death would accomplish anything, Spock replied. If you thought he was dead, you would leave, but obviously your plan did not work. Kirk came around, and McCoy helped him sit up, then stand. A bit woozy, Kirk regained his bearings. You shot me, Kirk snapped at Spock. I felt I had to. The situation at the time required me, Spock replied, if I were to save you from the Klingons. With a smug look, Kolob replied, You said he was a traitor. That is for Starfleet to sort out, Spock said. I feel you put him under duress. I simply made him an offer he couldn't refuse, Kolob replied. Kirk, Spock said, are you ready to leave? Just then, Sulu pulled his phaser, pointed it at Kirk, and said, Chekhov was my friend. You murdered him. Now what? Kirk asked. Can I get off this moon anytime soon? The charge was reduced to manslaughter, Spock corrected. There was no malice. The death was ruled an accident. I was there. I know what the captain did, Sulu replied. You were called as a witness, and the jury did not agree with you, Spock replied. You must live with the decision of the court. Must I? Sulu asked. Says who? You, Spock? Like I said, I was there, and I know what happened, and Kirk intentionally killed Chekhov. You continue on this course, I will have no choice but to kill you, Ensign, Spock said. I am the one holding the phaser, not you, Sulu said, now pointing the phaser at Spock. With a flash of light, Sulu bounded back and fell to the ground. Chekhov lowered his phaser and said, Go, Captain. Go back to the Enterprise. The offer will remain on the table until you decide that being captain is better than living in a one-room shack in Iowa, in disgrace. Chekhov, Kirk yelled in shock. You're alive! The report of my death was greatly exaggerated, Chekhov said, as he stepped around Kolog to face the Enterprise crew. Now what's going on? Kirk asked, as his jaw hit the ground. You're dead. Obviously not, Chekhov replied. My replicant is. Do you mean a clone? Kirk asked. Close, Chekhov replied, but good enough to pass the mortician. Why? Kirk asked. And now? To convince you to come with us, Chekhov replied, to become one of the Klingon Empire. McCoy barked. Are you telling me you faked your death and have been living with the Klingons this whole time? Yes, Doctor. They made me a good offer, and I couldn't refuse, Chekhov replied, and they provided my replicant. And you let Kirk rot in prison the whole time. What was the purpose of that? McCoy asked. We thought Captain Kirk spending time in prison would convince him to change sides, Chekhov replied. And it did, for a while. So what's the point of revealing yourself now? McCoy asked. Because it's an awesome plot twist. Don't you think? Chekhov replied. We'll make a great final chapter in my biography.